Hi, we're Whisper Tech, your secret AI assistant. Our task is to come up with a tool that can advise users on how to advise and respond to stakeholder engagement, depending on their profile. Some of common challenges you can face due to lack of stakeholder engagements are misaligned objectives, limited support and resources, resistance to change, lack of feedback and insights, reputation and relationship risks, unclear communication channels.
The aim of the project is to answer the following questions. What if there was a way to manage stakeholder relationships using data and with the support from artificial intelligence? What if you could give project professionals, including stakeholder managers, an AI assistant that tracks the relationship with the stakeholders and provides proofreading and advice on the best way to engage and communicate with them?
To implement the solution, we made two datasets. This first dataset corresponds to the sentiment information. The second dataset is the stakeholder profile. Those two datasets will help the AI assistant to write a more accurate email. So far, those are the steps we made to implement the solution. We used the OpenAI API to extract information about the stakeholder. We also used to get the sentiment analysis, whether it's positive or negative. The AI assistant will use those information to write a more accurate email.
Now let's look at an example of our project implementation. In the image on the left, there's an output response generated by a model for a specific stakeholder. And looking into the future, we plan to develop an Outlook extension that can summarize emails and write a personalized reply. Here's a simple UI design of that proposed extension on the right.
So some challenges we faced during the project was that we were very time constrained. We had a big plan and we were unable to complete everything that we wanted to do, especially creating the second database where we used the history of the previous emails to create and edit the next email that comes out. We were still able to create a model, but it just lacked some of the features that we wanted it to. We're also limited in terms of the prompt length. This is a limitation from GPT 3.5, as we're only limited to 3,000 characters. So if we were able to have access to GPT-4, we were able to increase the length. However, it was a money strained, and we weren't going to fork out £100 just to put the model through GPT-4. We also had an issue where ChatGPT was unreliable. We were using it so that it would label the data set that we collected, and this was really difficult because either it would randomly assign a word to the emails that we were using to label, or it was just not assigning anything, or it just come out with complete gibberish. We also had a challenge because the disk profiles are very subjective, which is also the reason why ChatGPT was very unreliable. They're very subjective based. They're actually quite difficult to put people in just on a basis of a few emails. We also struggled because the dataset was rather large, so for the sentiment analysis there was a long processing time, so we spent a lot of time just waiting for it to complete its task. We also had a challenge is that the task at hand was really large, so we ended up simplifying it, just limiting the project to emails. However, if you were to speak and communicate with a variety of stakeholders, then you need to include items such media formats such as WhatsApp or in-person talking and meetings.
A way we can expand our project is by adding a Chrome extension or Outlook extension. This can make it easier to access our model. Also, we can add more parameters to make the stakeholder profiles more personalized. We can also add security measures for the databases to increase data protection. And lastly, have more computing power to train our own models.
For natural language models, GPT is the best solution as rule-based systems are restricted by their knowledge base. This means that when we come to generating our outputs, instead of being a this that system, it will be able to produce unique and different outputs each time the system is used. GPT-4 allows us to input more historical data, which means that we can give the model more information, hence getting a better output. Also, we could use systems like Bard, similar to ChatGPT, or open source alternatives to improve our results. What can we do to improve stakeholder profiles? Well, one thing that comes to mind is adding more information about the stakeholder, such as interests. Say the person goes to tennis on the weekends. It's something that allows the stakeholders' interest to be involved with the client so that we can produce a email that relates to the client, so relates to the stakeholder, and it just allows us to make it more personalized. If we do implement this will cause some problems, because what things are derived from these problems? Well, one thing is the Freedom of Information Act, and that allows the stakeholders to retrieve all the information we store. So one way to prevent the stakeholder becoming upset is, well, don't store anything sensitive. And one way to do that is by putting them into demographic groups to avoid the sensitive data being stored. We have also made sure that the model is not biased by training it on emails that do not contain negative comments or words. Thank you for listening.